Welcome to Truckee Talks. I'm Maya Schneider. On today's show, we're going to be talking about snow. What else? Yeah, it's that time of year in Truckee again. But we're going to be talking about snow and how it affects our roads and parking here in the town of Truckee. We're going to be going over what your responsibilities are and what to expect this snow season with snow removal. And here with us on the show, we bring back Tamara Blanton. Tamara, it's so nice to have you here again. Tamara is with our Public Works Department in the town of Truckee, and you're an administrative assistant there. You're also the queen of all that happens in that department, and I really appreciate the work you do. So it's nice to have you back on the show. And of course, the inimitable Tom Covey makes his return to Truckee Talks. Tom, the Director of Public Works for Town of Truckee, it's nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
Well, we have a list of things to talk about. You know, it's interesting going over some of the materials that you supplied me to go talk about snow removal in town, really how much people need to be paying attention to what their responsibility is in snow removal. And we'll be talking about that in more detail in the second half of the show. But let's talk about just some of the basic rules. The no parking starts November 1st.
November 1st to April 1st, there is no parking on the town streets in the right-of-way. That means off of your property at all. We do have a couple of exceptions to that. Number one is the Tahoe Donner ski area, which we wrote in a rule last year, and that's for ski parking while you're at the ski area, and that's controlled by the Tahoe Donner ski area. And then the other exception is, of course, the downtown core, the angle parking in downtown. But that's pretty much the extent of it. There is absolutely no parking. You will be towed if you're blocking snow vehicles, and the reason for that is just number one is we don't need to slow down the equipment. The equipment needs to keep rolling as quickly as possible to get the snow removed. And anytime they have to maneuver around a car or something like that, it really slows down the operation. And number two is your vehicles could be damaged. And so we really don't want that to happen. So you need to park clearly off of the roadway and on your property.
Well, in fact, Tom, we have a photograph that we can show the folks, the parking in the right-of-way and where it can end you up, and we can show that to you right now. It's hard to make out here, but that's a car in the middle of a snowbank that got run into by a blower?
That's correct. That was up in Tahoe Donner, and that was done at night. You can tell in the photo. And as you can see, there's no way that blower driver could see what it was.
How would you have even known there was a car?
No hill,
it was like the filling of a Twinkie in there.
That's correct.
Well, ouch. And
it's
if
scary.
that happens, you're responsible not only for the replacement of your own vehicle, but any damage that may occur.
Any damage to the snowplow, and it does do considerable amount of damage. I might add that if you're here on a regular basis, we don't encourage you to stop in the street. But if something happens, you do get stuck. You should have some kind of emergency kit in your car. Mm-hmm. And included in an emergency kit, of course, would be a blanket and those type of things that we always go through. But the one thing that folks don't do and they don't think about is a snow pole. If your car gets stalled or stuck in the street and you need to go get a tow truck or something, you should either put a broom on it or a snow pole. You can buy those PVC pipes, with a couple of connectors, so you can put them in your trunk, open your trunk, put them together, and stick it on the corner of your car so that doesn't happen. So that if the snowplow driver comes down, he can see the stick sticking out of the snow, and it gives him an idea that there's something there.
That's a good idea, and of course most of us carry a broom.
And you also need to call in and let us know there's a vehicle. Give us the street and the closest address. That way we can let the drivers know to beware if they're blowing in that area at that time.
And just because sheriff knows doesn't mean that the road department is going to know.
That's correct.
That's correct.
All right. Well, all right, so now let's just use the B word here, guys. I kind of hate to do it, but let's talk about berms. People spend a whole morning shoveling out their driveway. They get it nice and clear, and then the snow blower, not necessarily the blower, but certainly a blade will come along and give them a nice hefty berm to get through.
Unfortunately, that happens, and we don't. I guess the simplest way to state it is we don't do berms. We create berms, but we do not remove berms. And there's several reasons for that. Number one is the time involved in taking a berm out. The folks will say, well, gee, it only takes you 15 or 20 seconds to take out my berm. Well, but take Tahoe Donner, for instance, there's 5,000 driveways. So you just multiply 5,000 times 15 seconds, and it gets to be a whole shift of doing nothing but removing
But burns, yeah.
And it becomes very, very costly to do that.
Yeah, so really, you just need to pay attention to how much snow is accumulating on either
Shovel
side
your
of your
snow.
driveway.
When you shovel your driveway, shovel downstream. You know, if you shovel to the right, looking at the street, because you know if you shovel to the left, you get this big pile. When the snowplow comes by, he's going to shovel right back into the hole. So shovel to the left. The best thing to do is, if at all possible, wait till the snowplow's gone by, then shovel.
Go
under.
ahead and clear your driveway.
Right.
Well, it makes sense. It sounds like you've just got way too many driveways to have
So
to try to
there's
keep
just way
clear
too
in
many
town
to
as
keep.
well.
Correct.
We've got a number that we'll be showing when we do go for break, and that's a specific number for folks to call the snow department, the snow removal department, if you will, because I know a lot of calls get directed to the sheriff's office or they get directed to town hall, and neither of those places are really the appropriate places. So we'll be showing you that telephone number midway through the show, but you may want to make a note of that and keep it on your refrigerator during the winter. Let's talk about some of the techniques that you're using for snow removal. You're sanding, de-icing.
Correct. When the snow, before the snow starts, matter of fact, today is the 23rd, and we start on our night shift tonight on sand routes. And you'll notice it's been getting kind of cold, and people are still watering their plants, and
Getting that nice sheet of ice out
they're
there,
getting a
of
nice
course.
sheet of ice out there. So the sand trucks are out on patrol, starting tonight, and that'll go on throughout the season. And we start out with our sand trucks on a regular basis. Then the next step is when it starts to snow. When we gather about 3 inches of snow or so, then we send out our snow plows. If it looks like it's going to be a long storm, or if it's going to be a short storm, like this time of the year, one will come through. We'll go out with pickup trucks and small trucks to go out and just get through it rather rapidly. But if it looks like winter's here, then we go out with the loaders. And the loaders go out and clean the streets to a certain extent, push it back to the edge, and we'll go through the entire town with snow plows. And then later on in the season, as the snow accumulates and we can't push it back anymore, that's when then we go out with blowers.
Well, let's talk about who this we is. Who's actually doing the snow removal for the town of Truckee?
We have our crew, a staff of 18?
18.
18 people, and we also contract out certain areas, the Glenshire area. This year, Halls will be doing that, and they have, I think, 5 people on staff that they use. And then in Prosser Lakeview area, heavy equipment is working out there this year. And they have, I think, 5 or 6 people also.
And do they make their own rules, or?
They're part of us, so they follow our policies and procedures. They report to the Public Works Department directly, give us their timesheets, and we pay them for that.
So if somebody had an issue with the contractor out in one of those areas and wanted to take it up, you could bring it to Public Works?
Correct. These contracts are rental agreements, if you will, and they're just simply an extension of the Public Works Department. They act as employees of the Public Works Department, only under contract, and of course they bring their tractor with them.
Well, and that's a good thing too, because it's really hard to remove snow without it. Let's talk a little bit about what happens when there's chain control on I-80. You know, a lot of times, we just showed that photograph of that car stuck in the inside of a large snowbank, and we know the kind of snow we can get here in Truckee. Oftentimes, Caltrans will instill chain control on I-80, and when they do that, there's a consistent speed limit for all vehicles. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. When chain control is on I-80, it is 25 miles an hour on all secondary roads, which is every road within the town of Truckee, except for I-80.
So if you're on a 35-mile-an-hour road in Truckee, when there's chain control on 80, you're on a 25-mile-an-hour street.
The speed limit automatically becomes through town 25 miles per hour, and that includes cars with chains, four-wheel drive sport utes with snow tires and studs, chains on all 4 wheels, whatever. The speed limit is 25 miles an hour throughout the town. On the freeway, and we'll add this for Caltrans, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. So when you're going to Sacramento in the morning, if there's chain control, the speed limit is 25. I mean 30.
Count on it,
30
take it
miles
twice
an
as
hour.
long, yeah.
Last year, the CHP was hitting that real hard because of that's what causes the accidents is folks going too fast.
Too fast.
Too fast for the conditions.
You know, and that's always been a thorn in my side, but folks think that if they drive a particular kind of vehicle, they can go faster than the posted speed limit.
I have a friend who is the production manager for a company that does TV commercials. And if you've seen the Jeep commercial on television, they ruined 5 Jeeps doing that commercial.
So give you an idea of a
really
Jeep
you
bounding
really
through the
can't do
snow.
that.
It can only do it once.
Correct. You
It
can do
can't
it
do it all
once,
the
and then
way.
you go get another Jeep.
Well, that's an interesting thing to know. I'm sure the folks at Jeep wouldn't want you necessarily sharing all
Probably
that
not.
information.
I think this is a local show, though. It's not going nationwide here, is it?
No, well, not yet, although I understand ABC was looking at picking us up. Well, let's talk about things that folks can do just around their houses right now. You know, it's still fall. We feel the nip in the air, but there's nothing on the ground yet. Folks are starting to put up snow poles around their driveways, and usually that's for their own contractors.
Correct.
What else should they be doing around their houses to get ready for the town snow removal
Well,
equipment?
boy, with the advent of Southwest Gas putting gas lines in, there's been a plethora of rocks around, and the folks thinks it's and it does look attractive to line up rocks around the property. What happens is those rocks become projectiles when the snowblower gets to them. So what you need to do is move back all of your equipment. I mean, all of your appurtenances, your rocks, landscaping, all those type of things need to be at least 10 feet off of the edge of the road.
Oh, that's an important number.
Exactly. You'll see the snow poles. The snow poles are guidelines for in the middle of the in the nighttime. The snow plows come down and they look at those poles as guidelines. After they make their initial pass through and they go widening, they go around outside those snow poles. So we can get as much as 8 to 10 feet off the roadway. If indeed that happens, if you get hit with, if we do get into rocks, they can do significant damage to houses, and they do.
Every year.
Yeah, you can imagine a blower coming along, picking up a rock and blowing it, and
Absolutely,
get it blown right through
absolutely.
a window.
And I even hate to even think about this, but when we've had it happen, we've had real close calls. Don't let your kids, do not let your kids dig tunnels in the berms.
Yeah.
Because that's a
It's a frightening thought.
frightening thought.
The children shouldn't even be outside when
No.
the blower goes
When the
by.
when you hear the blower coming, or if we're in blower mode, keep your kids in the house. I think that's the best cause of action.
A lot of times rocks will not go where the snow is being blown to. They'll fly straight out.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see the snow blowing down at an angle, but the rocks will go straight out.
They'll fly.
That's correct.
So it's a good idea to look at that in terms of landscaping around your property, make sure there's no rocks. Also, a lot of people have movable mailboxes, and great idea to put them further out in the summer, but boy, in the winter, you'd better be getting them closer to your home.
That's correct. The best thing to do is to, if you can, put the mailbox out when when the mailman comes on a regular basis. Put the mailbox out. When you pick up your mail, take it back for the next day. The mailboxes, believe it or not, do about, on an average, of $2,000 damage to a snowblower, and take it out of commission for about an hour to an hour and a half.
Correct.
And an hour and a half is probably about 3 or 4 miles of plowing that we don't get done.
So you don't get extra points for eating mailboxes, is that what I'm hearing?
We really don't want to do that.
And the thing to remember too is that mailboxes are a hazard when it's clear outside, because a lot of times we blow and it's perfectly clear, it's a beautiful day,
Yeah.
but we're out blowing, and sometimes the berms get so high that you can't
You
see
can't
over
see
them.
over
and
them.
One of the worst things that happen that slows us down the most is trash cans.
Yes.
The rubber trash cans, those Rubbermaid trash cans.
Right.
They get stuck in the machine, and it takes a long time.
Stuck like glue.
to get
Boy, you
them
don't
out.
want to
have
put your arm in
climb
there to try to.
A man has to climb inside that thing, dig through the snow to find the can, and then cut it out with a utility knife, and it takes a tremendous amount of time to do that. So, think about those things. A lot of personal responsibility is involved in this thing. We can't do everything without the cooperation of you.
Of the folks at home. All right, well, we'll take a quick break. While we're on this break, on your screen, you're going to see the telephone number to contact the town snow hotline, and that's the telephone number that you want to use in case you need to call regarding any questions or concerns about snow removal in town. So watch for that telephone number, and we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about snow removal here in Truckee, and yes, it is coming. And when we left off right before we took a break, Tom Covey, Tamara Blanton were talking about personal responsibilities, and that's kind of a good segue into talking about what we need to do as residents of the town to make sure that the snow removal season is really a good, easy one for all of us. So let's talk about that one at a time. We've got some of those points highlighted, and we'll bring those up on the screen. The first one is don't park in the town right away. And Tom, I know we talked about that a little bit.
Correct. This is a partnership, if you will. It is a team, and the snowplow drivers and us, we're just part of that team. And you know, the people are part of that team as well. And a key element in that is do not park in the right of way. Don't slow down the snowplows.
You're just impeding the service.
Just impeding the snowplows. Yeah. You're going to get a ticket. If we can't find you by blowing the horn, you're going to get towed away. Very, very expensive, and we don't. Our agenda is not to have somebody come to Truckee on vacation to have their car towed away.
Right.
So if you're a real estate person, make sure that you tell your people that are renting the houses to please park their cars off the road. We don't want them to have that experience.
Yeah, and it just makes for a bad day to
Correct.
find out your car
It's
has been
important to
towed.
remember that the ordinance is in effect if it's snowing or not, and that the sheriff's office probably will ticket you, even if we're not performing snow removal at that time.
So that's a 24/7, even on days of clear
That's
weather?
correct.
24/7.
The next comment we have here for all of us here in Truckee is do not use the town snow storage areas. How do you know what they are?
Well, that's a little bit difficult. Tahoe-Donner especially, and that's where the highest snow load is, and so that's where it's most critical. From the edge of the street to the town, to your property line, it's generally about 15 feet, and that's called the town right-of-way. And now the snow stakes don't mean town right-of-way. It's just so if you can just in your head just think about 15 feet from the edge of the street. Now in Tahoe-Donner especially, another 20 feet towards your house is a snow storage easement, and that is granted by you, the property owner, when that subdivision was constructed, to the town for actual snow storage, and that's where we blow our snow, is into that area.
So that's not a good place to plant
That's
your
not
little
a good place
saplings.
to plant your little saplings. Make sure that you get your, and there's some very, very good landscapers around town that'll tell you what is snow storage
Great point.
tolerant plants and stuff, things that'll survive underneath there.
So it doesn't have to be concrete.
No, it can be vegetation that's conducive to snow areas.
Having big loads of snow on
Having big
top
loads
of
of
it.
snow on it.
But it's also, that is the place where we put snow,
Right.
and they are not, homeowners should not put their snow in that.
Their
Right.
snow or anything else.
That's
Correct.
correct,
All
in
that
that
does
area.
is just take the area away from us.
Okay. Next rule we have, or next tip, is to clearly mark your driveway, landscaping, and hazards. I know we talked about that a little bit, but Tamara, you want to hit on that?
Sure, your driveway, especially if it's a curving driveway or if it slopes downhill, it really needs to be marked. The snowplow drivers cannot see an access road that is coming from behind them, especially that runs alongside them. We do snow pole it and try to mark it ourselves, but it's very important that you put as tall stakes as you can get with reflector tape on the top to mark that, so the drivers are aware that there's something there that they need to stay clear of. Also, your landscaping, if you have trees that are really close to the property line, you want to be sure to mark those. It also gives them a little bit more support, but it helps to
To put a pole
put a
alongside
pole
the
right
street. Sure, that's a
alongside
good
it.
idea.
Just a little expansion on that. That 20-foot snow storage easement includes your driveway. So if we try very hard not to, but if we inadvertently do blow snow into your driveway, that's part of the deal. And we're sorry.
Yeah, and I'd hate to be the one fielding those phone calls, Tamara, but I
Right,
bet you do.
And also leaving a light on helps tremendously. If we're blowing at nighttime, to have a garage light on. Sometimes towards the end of the season, the berms are so high, the
That you're
drivers
just
can't
shooting
even
over them.
see
That's
what's
right.
going on the other side. If there's a light, they know that there's something there, and they'll be a little bit
That's a good
extra
idea. So
careful.
during especially the heavier storms, you know they're going to be out blowing, shoveling, what have you.
Even on not a heavy storm, after the heavy storm, when we're out blowing, it takes us many days after a storm to catch up. So we can be blowing 3, 4, 5 days after a storm. So just leave your light on every night. It's a good idea.
Just pretend Santa's coming, even
That's
if it is
right.
March 3rd.
Leave a light on for you.
Leave a light on. We talked a little bit about mailboxes, but we do have a still on that. And again, just don't want to leave your mailbox in the town right-of-way, or for that matter, anything else in the town right-of-way. And garbage cans, we left off talking about those as well. You mentioned the rubber garbage cans especially, but folks really need to be aware of that when you're putting things out at the end of the day or at the beginning of the day. Try to be conscious of when either the post office comes by or the disposal company.
Correct. There's a little dilemma with the post office in that the post office, unless your box is right next to the road, they won't deliver it, and if you put it next to the road, we'll run over it. So, but we just need to be, we'll work together. Again, this is a team between the town snow removal crews and the public. So we'll do our best not to, but remember to move those out of the right of way if possible. Don't build any out there.
Yeah, certainly don't build a permanent...
Garbage sheds is another one. We absolutely destroy garbage sheds. Those are generally either in the snow storage easement. 95% of them in Tahoe Downer are in the right-of-way. If they get damaged, you're going to have to repair it at your own expense. Now, the new bear sheds are very, very good. So they don't suffer the damage that the old wooden sheds did.
Interesting.
So,
But again, you still don't want to put it in the town
correct,
right-of-way or in the snow
Now,
storage
the Tahoe
easement.
Downer Association would like you to go to the bear sheds, and eventually we'll probably knock them all down and then all be bear sheds.
Not necessarily a goal, but
That's
something
not a
that may
goal.
happen
Not
in
a
any
goal,
case.
but something that may happen.
Also, the disposal company will walk to your property line to pick up your garbage
Correct.
cans. We do hear, oh, well, they won't pick it up if we don't
And
leave
they
it right at the
certainly
end.
will.
And they will. That's
Okay.
not a problem.
We've got 2 more tips here that we want people to be aware of. Do not tailgate snow removal equipment. And we have a photograph we'll be showing you a little bit later on that sort of explains more graphically why you shouldn't do that. But what's a safe distance when you're behind snow removal equipment? It can be so frustrating when they're moving
Well,
at
it's-
7 miles an hour.
We talk about 50 to 100 feet, but the reality is it's similar to a big truck. If you can't see the driver's face in the mirror of the equipment, then he can't see you. So make sure that you make yourself seen by him, especially when you see it when you're following a snowplow that comes to an intersection. Our backing up always happens in intersections. So if you're behind a snowplow coming to an intersection, back off, relax, and to see what he's going to do. Sometimes they'll go completely through the intersection. Sometimes they'll stop and do the intersection cleanup. They always turn around and look before they back up. If you're too close, they'll back right over you.
They can't see you.
And that has happened, and it's unfortunate that happens. Generally, it doesn't result in injury, but it results in a flat car.
A flattened car in any
Yes.
case.
And the driver is busy looking at what he needs to be doing. He's checking for people coming in front
Right,
of
we
him,
need to be
looking for
watching for
dogs.
them.
So it's hard for him to check everything, even though he tries.
And finally, this sort of dovetails into this, don't stop equipment drivers unless it's an emergency. So you want to talk to somebody about snow removal equipment,
Call me.
call Tamara.
Call the
hotline.
office. Call the office.
Okay.
This equipment is very, very expensive to operate.
Yeah, these are your tax
And
dollars,
it's your
folks.
tax dollars. If you're standing there talking to a guy on the street corner,
Yeah.
telling him about your little problem with your berm, it's right around $150 an hour to operate this equipment.
Wow. Wow.
Don't stop the equipment.
That's coming right out of our pockets
Right
as
out of your
taxpayers.
pocket,
You want me to
exactly.
And know that if he
And
keeps driving by, he is doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Again, this is why we have the telephone number, a good way to get a hold, get some information, and it's a live number. You're going to get somebody. It's 587-6917, and that gets you through to the snow hotline. A couple of photos I think we should probably pull up if we can. We talked about don't tailgating, or just don't follow too closely to snow removal equipment, and here's the reason why, whether you drive a Land Rover or anything else.
Go ahead and explain what happened there. That was interesting.
This was somebody going down Northwoods. Our driver was driving down the road. It was a little icy, but not too bad, and a child threw a snowball at the driver, hit him on the side of the face. His window was down, and he stopped. It was an automatic reaction. He couldn't see where he was going. And the person in the Land Rover was obviously a little bit too close.
Little too close.
And ran right into him.
Ouch.
Everybody was okay except for the car.
I was going to say, I don't think that the Land Rover would have won that argument with a piece of snow removal equipment.
But again, that cost us quite a bit of time down because
Sure.
it did damage the sander.
Well, again, and this goes back to just some basic driving tips, and you know, we can talk all we want about the people that come visit our areas, but frankly, there's a number of locals and full-timers that just sort of get comfortable, or forget to shift modes when we're getting into the winter season.
Especially that first couple
The
storms.
first couple of storms,
You know,
bet.
if you just really need to do something, go in the evening after everybody's gone from one of the major parking lots and drive around.
Drive
and
around,
slam on your
get a
brakes
feel for it.
and get an idea what your car is going to do, especially if you bought a new car this year. Sport utility
That's a good
vehicle,
point.
when you step on the gas, they go.
You've
When
got
you step
four-wheel
on the
go.
brakes,
Yeah.
they do exactly like a two-wheel drive car.
That's right. You've got four-wheel go, but not
You
four-wheel
have
stop.
four-wheel go, but you do not have four-wheel stop.
Well, now we've got another photograph too to show you somebody, I believe this is on the Glenshire Bridge, somebody taking things a little too fast, and this again is a reminder. It looks like maybe a Toyota. I can't really tell who ran into the snowplower.
This was close to being a very, very serious accident
Yeah.
right here. The fellow was going toward Glenshire, he was going eastbound on Glenshire Drive, and he was going too fast, lost control of his car, and hit the sand truck. And you note the sand truck, it was on the eastbound lane coming across the bridge plowing, and he went all the way across and
ran right
and
into
ran
him.
right into
Well, and
it.
again, that's a good reminder. Bridges ice up first.
bridges ice up first. And
Slow down,
slow
slow
down.
down,
Slow
slow
down.
down, slow down. I think if we could
Give
say
yourself-
one thing here to get ready for the snow
Give yourself
season,
plenty of extra time.
slow down. Well, we only have a couple of minutes left. I know we wanted to hit on a lot more information than this, and we really don't have time to. But let's just talk about some big things. There was a weather system, DTN.
Inside our command center, what we call it, there's a DTN system, which is a satellite system, and it has a monitor and a panel that we use, and it gives us real-time satellite information and real-time radar. It's been extremely helpful to happen as it's happened. We can tell how long the storm's going to last. I can get the crews out there. We can schedule them for 3 hours, and I know it's going to be 3 hours. It's an amazing tool to use. We don't have to call people in not knowing how long the storm's going to go on.
Tamara, does this mean that we should be calling you instead of listening to Pete
though a lot of
Giddings?
people do. I can't forecast, but I can tell you what's going on right now within the next 2 to 3 hours.
And how long it'll last. That must
That's
be
correct.
a great scheduling
It
tool
is.
for you.
It is a wonderful
It's
tool.
amazing what happens in the different sections of town, and we can see where if it's
Well, the
not
big
snowing in
green
Glen-
blob is over Tahoe Donner,
Correct,
and the folks out
correct,
in Glenshire
Correct.
are
Well,
fanning
you just see
themselves.
the cloud going over on the television set over the whole Sierras. We can see the specific areas.
The density
The
and
density.
how heavy it's
Great.
hitting.
It's a
Correct.
great tool.
Tom, just quickly, if you could, tell us about your gridlock plan this year. I know that's a problem for
Again,
us.
the gridlock plan, and that's specifically for Donner Pass Road, westbound, excuse me, and that's generally on those big holiday weekends when the freeway's closed. Remember, left lane freeway, right lane, through lane. We do have changeable message sign this year, so we'll have that out there
That's great.
well in advance. We'll have flaggers out there well in advance again. But remember, when the freeway is chain control, you have to get on the freeway in the left lane. The right lane will be for Tahoe Donner, Armstrong Track, and Donner Lake.
And there will be signage. Just pay attention to the
And
signs.
it's only when chain control is down at our level, not when it's at Donner Lake Interchange.
Right.
It has to be down at our
when
level.
when it comes down
When
to
it comes down
6,000
to
feet or whatever we're calling that.
That's correct.
Tom, Tamara, thank you so much. I know that you
Thank
guys
you.
have done a really bang-up job for us the last few years with snow removal in town, and just keep up the good work. And we'll look forward to lots of snow on the resorts and very little snow on the town roads.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to give this information out to the folks.
bet.
It's very important to us that they know what's
Well, as you say, it's a partnership, and if we all work together, we can keep the roads clear.
Correct.
We can't be working against each other.
And
Right.
use the hotline.
And use the hotline, 587-6917. Again, Tamara Blanton, Tom Covey from Town Public Works, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And good luck to all of us this driving season. We'll see you next time on Truckee Talks. Thanks for joining us.